Hi, this is the video presentation of Ira Goldstein's Impact of the US Census Data on CRA Examinations. For most of the video, I will be using Policymap. Policymap is an online data mapping tool from the Reinvestment Fund that grew out of our underwriting department's need for data and out of our policy research division's need for a project delivery system. Data is nationally available, and there are over 10,000 indicators of data, ranging from home sale data to unemployment to demographics, HMDA, and a variety of other variables, including a library of federally designated areas such as NSP scores and CDBG eligibility. There are two types of data sets available in the system. There are thematic maps that show data visually, and there are point data sets referencing locations like schools, hospitals, public housing, LIHTC, and other data sets. The Community Reinvestment Act has a basic idea that depository institutions have an affirmative obligation to meet the credit needs of the community within which they are charted. That generally means that all parts of the communities must be served, with particular attention to the lower and moderate income areas. About a year ago, the Fed took a step of saying that if a lender could help finance activities that were consistent with the community's NSP plan, they could claim CRA credit for that activity. And so Ira Goldstein developed an example that helps think about CRA in the context of NSP. The Neighborhood Stabilization Program, or NSP, is a federal program administered by HUD that came first out of the George W. Bush era stimulus plan, part of the Housing and Economic Recovery Act in 2008, and again in the Obama era with the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act in 2009. And then there was a third round. In Ira Goldstein's PowerPoint presentation, you're able to see static maps of the data presented in the example. In this video, we wanted to show you that data live on Policymap's interactive map. On Policymap, we can first zoom to Sacramento and then add the county boundary as a reference. The first indicator of Ira's example is the concept of greatest need, which derives directly from the NSP program language, and HUD created an algorithm to identify those areas. This is the foreclosure risk score. Once you add a piece of data, the title on the very top will tell you exactly what data you're looking at. And then, of course, the details button will give you a longer explanation of what makes this score, as well as a link to the HUD site that explains how the scores were calculated. The legend on the left will tell you years that are available, as well as to tell you two important things with the map. The first is the geography that the data is shown at. In this case, it's showing census tract level data, and then the scores or the ranges for the values that are being shown. So anything in a dark purple are tracts that have a score of 17 or more, whereas anything in the lighter color have a 5 or less. We can click onto the map and get the lowest geography that the data is at and the score for that geography. And of course, we can also zoom in and get a more detailed look at some of these scores throughout the area. The next indicator are areas that are income eligible based on CRA criteria. You can find this data also under Federal Guidelines, under the CRA Eligibility tab. So here we're looking at the percentage of median family income as of AMI. So again, anything in the dark purple in this case is not a score like we saw previously, but is the percentage of the median family income. Now we can identify areas with home sales that have not totally fallen apart, as evident by relatively stable home prices. Ira's notion is that this is a program that works for propping up or giving boost to an area, not a hard restart where the area really crashed. So for this, we will use home sale data under real estate analysis And instead of looking at the individual years, we can look at the change between years. So now we're looking at the percent change of median home sale price between 2009 and 2010. And then we can even make very specific cut points to these ranges. So in here we can say a decrease of 25%, a decrease of 15, a decrease of 5, a decrease of 5% again, and an increase of 5. So now what you'll see on the map is anything in the dark purple are census tracts that had an increase of median home sale price of 5% or more. And anything in the orange color is a decrease. And depending on the color of the orange, is the higher the concentration or higher the decrease. So in this case, we can look at Orangevale up here and see that this particular tract had a decrease of home sale value of almost 30%, whereas its neighboring tract had an increase of 11.5% almost, or more. So now that we have 3 indicators to better understand the neighborhood, we can take these and use the Policymap analytics tool to find locations that meet the criteria and then learn more about that particular area. We'll start with the NSP foreclosure risk score under federal guidelines again. We want places with scores that are high but not off the chart. Again, this is a way of thinking about the connection between the program and available resources and the nature and magnitude of the problem. These areas that have trouble are likely eligible but not bottomed out. When we first load the data, it will show all the scores, so we can then slide the pointer to our desired score or enter our scores ourselves. You will now see in the map tracts that have a score of 14 to 17 are in purple. We can click onto any tract to learn more of that particular tract, as well as click on tracts that did not meet our criteria and see the scores and the reason why it did not meet it. Next, we will pick areas that are in the range of income which CRA activity will frequently target. We're looking for low-income areas, but not the absolute lowest and certainly not the highest. It is this middle, coupled with the level of need of the NSP score, that form the basis of understanding where we begin to think about targeting resources. So in here, again, we can choose federal guidelines, CRA eligibility, and enter in the ranges that we're looking to identify. In this case, 80% to 150% allows us to find that middle range. Now we can click onto the map again, and any place in purple meets our 2 criteria that we set, the HUD foreclosure risk score, as well as the percentage range of the AMI. And again, we can click onto the areas around it and see why it did not meet our criteria as well. In that same logic, Ira identifies areas with home prices that have not fallen some or even risen some, but the basic notion is that we're trying to focus on places that have need and eligibility and are not in free fall. So we will again use homes of data from real estate analysis, select the change between years, and then set our parameters that we want to show. So a decrease of 15%, but we can cap it off at an increase of 15% itself. And then Ira's last point is to show areas that are near good schools and also have access to public transportation. This is available down at the point level data, so we can show schools that are ranked 9 and 10, as well as show public transit rail lines on top of the map. And what we'll find is these particular tracts meet our data criteria, have schools located in their area and are relatively close to a transit rail line. So within Policymap, to learn more about these particular areas, what we can immediately do is draw this target area using the Build Custom Region feature. We'll assemble by the tracks. And we'll click on the tracks, and when we're done, we will click Save this to generate this area. And then take it into the Reports feature to aggregate data for. The Community Profile Report will give us the demographic numbers that we want to learn about this particular area. And so in here, what you'll see is a summary of what we're looking at, which is the county and the tracts and the zip codes that it might touch. But then we'll see things like the school district that it's in and the actual data itself. So this particular area has a decrease of population. You'll be able to see its reference to the county and the state that it's in, as well as the racial characteristics for the area, the age distribution, and even income variables. The idea is that once we identify a target area, we can build these reports to quickly learn more about it. For more information on Ira Goldstein's presentation, please visit the Reinvestment Fund's website and click onto the Resource Center page. To learn more about Policymap, please visit our website at www.policymap.com today. Thank you and have a great day.